Hello guys. I don't know when this is coming out. This is either coming out early November or whenever. I'm just gonna do it just to be prepared for whatever occurs. And yeah, today we're gonna do a couple of these. We're gonna talk about John Candy today. We're gonna talk about an actor again. Um, John Candy. I don't know how many people are still aware of him anymore. I'm a little unsure how his legacy has held up over the years. Not so much because of the quality of his work, but more so because of how short it was. Because he died at 44. He died in 94. He wasn't really around long enough to kind of keep his work going into the next era of filmmaking. So we're gonna talk about him today. One of his movies is one of my favorites. So I am a huge fan of his. I grew up with a lot of his stuff. My parents love him, so I kind of inherited that from them. Um, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so I'm gonna try to stick to what I usually do as much as I can, and plus doing it through the laptop. So basically, I'm just gonna kind of. So he was born in 1950. He died in 94. Let's talk about his bio. He was born in Toronto. He's a Canadian. He died in Mexico, actually, which is something we'll get into here. All right, he was one of. All right, here's the. He was 6'1". Yeah, yeah. He died of a heart attack. Um, he was one of their Canada's. Of course, I'm going to be paraphrasing from the IMDb bio here. Canada's greatest and funniest character actors. His career has handed him some dry spells, but Candy always rebounded. He was born in Ontario in the year 1950. His mother was Ukrainian and Polish ancestry. Candy found his passion for drama while attending a community college. In 1971, he made his TV debut in an episode of Police Surgeon, co-starring Sharon Farrell and a bunch of people. Candy then found a number of bit parts in other Canadian television shows and also in such small films as Tunnel Vision in 76, Final Lady in 76. However, his big success came at the age of 27 when he became part of the comedy group Second City in Toronto alongside other future Canadian stars like Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, Rick Moranis, and Harold Ramis. Candy was also part of the television show the group inspired Sctv, which came out in 76, and it earned him a reputation for his quirky humor and his uncanny imitations of others. After the television series, he appeared along Dan Aykroyd and Stevens and in the Steven Spielberg flop 1941 and 79. However, other jobs followed. Candy landed a role with Aykroyd. He was in Blues Brothers. He played a parole officer as part of the chase after Jake and Elwood, did their thing. The film was a hit, and Candy followed up with the movie Stripes. That's one of my dad's favorite movies, and he did well there. He returned with Second City former other stars in SCTV Network in '81, so a kind of a re thing. He also hosted SNL before he was in the Ron Howard film Splash, which was a rom-com about a mermaid who, falls in love with a human. He plays the brother of the main lead, and it's considered his breakout role. He took second billing in the comedy Brewster's Millions, which starred God, I forgot his name. Damn, I forgot the comedian's name. God damn it. He continued making a lot of films. He filmed Armed and Dangerous, where he and Eugene Levy play characters to become security guards. And '87 was a great year for him. He got great roles. He was in Spaceballs and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is one of my favorite films ever. And it's considered a golden classic, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and one of his greatest films. His follow-up was The Great Outdoors, which was along Dan Aykroyd, and that was another solid film. Uncle Buck followed the next year, which was another great. So really, 3 years in a row, he had a lot of hits. And he was great in Home Alone. He had a role in there. His career did fall into a slump in the early 90s, which caused him to take more serious roles. The first was a corrupt lawyer in Oliver Stone's JFK. The movie was a big success, and it did well for him. He also was in Cool Runnings about the first Jamaican bobsled team, which did well. Um, and that was in '93, so that would have been one of his last films before he passed. He was 6'2" and weighed 300 pounds, but um, he kind of he wasn't always like he didn't like talking about that, and he tried losing weight and quit smoking in the early '90s. And heart attacks were in his family, and he was aware of that. And his father and grandfather did die from them, and he was trying to prevent that. In the mid '90s, he was filming Canadian Bacon, which came out in '95 after he filmed it, which was a Michael Moore comedy. And he went to Mexico to film the Western spoof Wagons East, and that's where he had the heart attack and passed away. Of course, Wagons East probably never made it because Canadian Bacon ended up being his last film. Let's yeah. But yeah, it was very sad. And now let's kind of go over more of his filmography. It's not going to be a lot, but most of it was already mentioned here. I probably went over the Bible a little bit more detail than I usually do, but I figured why not? Let's go down here all the way to the bottom. Okay. TV series started as Cucumber in the movie. He was in the thing Cucumber. Some TV series stuff. Police Surgeon is mentioned here. David Steinberg show. He had a lot of like reoccurring stuff there. Sctv, which ran for a few years, 76 to 79, 41. A TV movie called The Courage of Kavik the Wolf Dog, Blues Brothers, Tales of Knox, Tales of Klondike, Stripes, Heavy Metal. He was in Heavy Metal in a segment. SNL, SCTV, The Revival, which aired from 81 to 83. CTV Network. National Lampoon's Vacation, he had a bit part in. Berserk, SCTV Channel, Splash, The News Show. Let's see. Ironically, it was a movie called The Last Polka TV movie. Brewster's Millions, of course. Follow That Bird. He was State Trooper. Summer Rental. He was in Volunteers, 85. Canadian Conspiracy was a TV movie in 85. Armed and Dangerous. Little Shop of Horrors in 86. He did have a part in that. Oh, he actually, in the movie She's Having Baby, he plays an uncredited guest appearance of his character from Great Outdoors. I never knew that. That's pretty cool. He was in Sesame Street TV movie. Let's see. Uncle Buck. Home Alone. He voiced Wilbur in Rescuers Down Under. Nothing But Trouble he was in. Career Opportunities he was uncredited. Delirious he was in 91. JFK. Once Upon a Crime, 92. Boris and Natasha, 92. Rookie of the Year, he was uncredited and as an announcer in that. Cool Runnings. TV movie called Hostage for a Day, he was uncredited in that. The Wagons East in 94, and then Canadian Bacon was his last thing. So yeah. I wonder if he did any. He directed the Hostage for a Day TV movie, which is very interesting there. He had 7 credits as a writer, which most of it was pretty much in like the sketch comedy shows. But yeah, John Candy, what can I say about him? He was like, I've seen that movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, a bunch of times. It's probably, in all honesty, it's probably my favorite comedy. And that says something, because I don't hate comedies, but when you look at my list of favorite movies, you don't see a lot of comedies. And the reason why is, I don't know, humor is such a basic thing. For me, it's very hard for a film to like make humor something epic and real and makes you feel it. It makes you want to revisit it. You see, dramas and horrors and all that, they have that, but comedies, it's very hard to do because literally anything can have humor. Humor exists everywhere in all media and cinema. A drama can have humor. That's the thing. Dramas, horrors, romance things, all sci-fi, all those can have humor in them, but comedies can't be a comedy once it's mixed in with those subjects. Like a horror movie is still a horror movie even if it has comedy, but comedy is no longer a comedy if it has horror in it's kind of one of those things where comedy, unless comedy is by itself, it'll always be the secondary mix on top of another genre. And that's kind of why you don't see a lot of comedies there, because I prefer the mix. I like when genres mix. That's kind of typically my thing. I Especially with comedy, I see comedy as kind of one to mix with. I don't comedy. It's very hard for me to like watch a comedy like, oh, this is one of my favorite movies, because I don't know. Because a lot of comedy, and also a lot of comedies just stick with the jokes. They don't focus on character and stories. They just get by with the jokes. And yeah, some of those movies do stick out for me, but overall, I like the mix. But the thing what made Planes, Trains, and Automobiles so good is that it was a comedy, but it had a humanity in it. It had a story. It had character. And John Candy, he did a great job of bringing humanity and character in a roles he played. Even if not all his movies were 5 stars that he was in, he was he never like slept in a role. As far as I can tell, he never slept in a role. He always put care into his role. He and yeah, he just super comedic. From what I heard, he wasn't a bad person at all either. It's a shame that what happened to him because, he was aware of it, he was trying. It's just, that's life sometimes. But yeah, his career is great. I definitely recommend, yeah, definitely his stuff in the 80s. I would recommend that. That was definitely his heyday, especially once you get towards the late 80s, for sure. The other stuff he was in, the more bit parts. I mean, I'm sure his sketch stuff was probably fantastic. I haven't seen any of his SCTV stuff myself, but I heard it's considered fantastic, kind of like in living color, kind of cult status. So I definitely recommend checking that out. I haven't myself, but one day I probably will, just to kind of get a little taste of it. Um, Early 90s stuff. I mean, the JFK one I really want to check out. I'm really interested in seeing how he handles drama. Um, but yeah, and once you get to the early 90s, he did some drama stuff, but he didn't really get a chance to really go like where he needed to go. It's unfortunate. But yeah, that's what I had to say about John Candy. He's a fantastic actor. I definitely recommend his work. His 80s stuff for sure. I recommend. Like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I recommend like if you're gonna watch one John Candy movie, one. And to me, the one that sums it up best in a nutshell is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's a great film for Steve Martin too, but his career's a topic for another day. Um, but yeah, I do think, unfortunately, because of the way his career ended with his death, so what his library is not like super small, but it's not super large either. And it's kind of a shame that I don't think nowadays I don't think he gets mentioned as much as he should. And I also think that looking back at some of the older comedies, it kind of makes you realize that nowadays comedies kind of slack a little bit. I don't know. You never see a great pure comedy anymore. But I think a lot of comedies also kind of miss the point though, because a lot of comedies they just shoot jokes again at the end, and that can work. It that can work if you have other elements in there, like a unique universe and unique characters. That can work, but when you add like a human depth, and while you can be dramatic, you can have drama moments. It never should like drama is probably if you're the only real genre you can mix with comedy still have comedy on top of it is probably drama, because drama gives it a good blend because it adds humanity to the character, so it makes the funny stuff stick out even more. The other genres you can't really do that because they just stand out too much. Drama blends in really well because it makes the comedy feel a little bit more grounded, and it gives the characters meat and depth. So you can relate to them as well as laugh with them. But yeah, overall I do like John Candy's work a lot. And yeah, the next video I'm not sure what it's gonna be on, but it's gonna be another kind of character profile, and then I'll do a movie thing after that. But yeah, that's what I say about it. I really recommend him. I'm glad I did him this month because, you know, this one's Thanksgiving. Plain Strange and Obvious is also the best Thanksgiving movie ever. So I just figured, since there's not a lot of them, I'll cover the guy who starred in the greatest Thanksgiving movie ever. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. In case you want to chat with me, Mike, or anyone else at the Campy Company, don't want to use the YouTube comment section, we do have a couple options. First one is we have a Discord channel. You can find a link to that in the About page / About section of our channel. We also have a discussion tab in our channel as well. You can access that through a PC or laptop computer. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.